Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. One of the main reasons I started this channel was to share ideas with my fellow investors. And in fact, if I had to judge the success of this channel, it would be directly related to how many ideas it has generated. Not only this channel, but also individual videos. In fact, it is almost impossible to know how many ideas my videos generate unless you leave comments in the videos. So if you do get an idea from one of my videos, I'd love to hear about it. So leave it in the comment section of the video. Don't be shy, because if you do that, it would make my day. Now you might be asking, where do I get my ideas from? I've been investing on the ASX for over 12 years now, 12 to 13 years, and I get my ideas from a varied ways. For instance, the majority of my ideas are from ASX announcements. I read ASX announcements every single day over the past 12 to 13 years. Yes, every single day I will read ASX announcements. I'll probably say the majority of my ideas is from that platform. Now, I also get other ideas from just listening to podcasts. Now, I'll probably say the majority of podcasts I don't get any ideas from, but on occasion, I'll listen to someone talk about a company on the ASX, and that would perk my interest on that company, and then I'll do some research on that company. It just happened the other day. I was listening to Oz Business Call, and there was a company with a ticker code CVV, Cavely or something, Resources, and I've decided to do a little bit of research on that particular company simply because someone mentioned it in a podcast. Also, read online articles, and that can generate ideas on occasion. Now, you would think after about 12 to 13 years of investing on the ASX, I should know about every single company on the ASX. And that is far from the truth. In fact, there are a plethora of companies on the ASX I know nothing about. And in today's video, I'm going to share one company on the ASX I knew nothing about just one day ago. Originally, this video was going to be titled 3 ASX Companies I Know Nothing About. And in fact, I recorded the body of this video before the introduction because I wasn't quite sure how long the video was going to be. And I just decided to time the first company. And when I looked at the time I spent on the first company, I realized if I did 3 companies, the video would just be too long. So I'm going to separate this video into 3 sessions. So in this video, I'm going to be focused on Ryder Capital, a company I knew nothing about just one day ago. And then in the future, I'll do 2 other videos, one on Austral Resources. And right now, I know nothing about that company, except maybe probably it's a mining company. And then I'll do another video on Imuron. I know absolutely nothing about that company. I don't even know what they do. So look out for videos on those 2 companies in the next few weeks. Otherwise, this video is on Ryder Capital. There are over 2,000 companies on the ASX. The other day when I had a bit of spare time on my hands, I thought I went to this webpage, first of all, which shows you the list of ASX companies. And this is ranked by market cap. So BHP is the largest market cap or largest value company on the ASX, followed by Commonwealth Bank of Australia, CSL, NAB, ANZ, Fortescue, etc., etc. And as I was going through this list, particularly once I got to about 500, there were a few companies I had never heard of before. And I thought, why not just pick one random company out of this list and do a little bit of research on? And then I decided, why not do a video on me doing research on this one random company? So I picked one random company out of the list of companies I don't know anything about, and that company was Ryder Capital, ticker code RYD. Now, before I move on any further, this list of ASX companies can be a little bit misleading. There are 2,407 companies listed, or it's mentioned as list of ASX company, but we'll say 2,407 companies listed on the ASX, but a lot of these companies or listings are not companies. For instance, there are a plethora of ETFs on the ASX, and they are on this list. These are not companies, in my opinion. Not only that, if you put any bank in here, like CBA, you have these other companies, listed companies, that are affiliated with CBA, but these are not companies. I'm pretty sure these are like unsecured debt or secured debt, something like that. And all the banks have them. Let's look at NAB, not NBA, NAB. NAB has heaps. Westpac, heaps. ANZ. Well, only one there. Okay. And so this just shows you that even though there is over 2,000 companies listed on the ASX, it might be a little bit lower than you think because of ETFs and these other instruments that you can invest in, but they are not companies. They're associated with companies, but not companies. So that's how I came to Ryder Capital. Just randomly selected one company that I've never heard of, never done any research. And for some reason, Ryder Capital won. So who is Ryder Capital? Now, based off the name, my first inkling was that Ryder Capital was a financial type company, more likely a fund manager or LIC. So first thing I did is I went to the company's website and I found out they are listed as a financial services. And I did go through their particular announcements. And this is where I ended up before I went, hey, let's just hold back and let's do a video on this. Now, the first thing that was clear is the first announcement they have released. I'm recording this video on the 13th of November. The last announcement this company released was their net tangible asset backing. They should be releasing these announcements every single month. So I'm going to open that up. And what I'm also looking for is annual reports or anything else. And I've also noticed they're doing buybacks. So obviously, if a company is doing a share buyback, the management of the company must think that the company is undervalued. Otherwise, why would they be doing it? So what I'm looking for here is just an annual report. We can get a lot of information of a company just through the annual report. So let's have a look at the annual report. Now, before we have a look at the annual report, let's have a look. Come on, let's have a look at this net tangible asset backing. So share price of Ryder Capital is 99 cents. More than likely, the NTA of this company is going to be a little bit more than 99 cents. But also through this particular announcement, we can figure out a lot more about this company. For instance, ticker, RYD, well, we already know that. Date of listing, 22nd of September 2015. Share price, 99 cents. NTA pre-tax, $1.11. NTA post-tax, $1.18. The reason there's a difference between pre-tax and post-tax is because if a company sells out one of their holdings at a profit, they have to pay capital gains. So this takes into account capital gains and capital losses. And because pre-tax is lower than post-tax, this company has invested in companies where they are seeing capital losses. Ideally, you want to see the post-tax lower than the pre-tax, which means the company has been successful what they're investing in. This company also has a dividend, and the dividend yield is 7.55%. Gross assets, $92.85 million. Markup, $80 million. They also give an investment performance over the last 3, 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years since inception. Since inception, portfolio has done well, or the fund manager has done well, or the LIC has done well. Not sure exactly what to call this company yet. But over the last 3 or so years, this particular fund manager has, or LIC has performed badly. Also got investment commentary. Now, sometimes in LICs or fund managers, and this does look like a fund manager or LIC, you can get a sort of a view of what this company is investing in. And just by looking at some of the names here, Janison Education, Door Beauty, Wide Open Agriculture, SRG, McMahon. So we have an idea of what this company invests in. Looks like highly focused in mining services, education, small caps as well. And then investment strategy and objectives. They should tell you what they are investing in. So medium to longer term, concentrated portfolio, ASX listed small to micro cap focus, and medium to long-term capital growth. They also give an about. A lot of announcements will have the about. So if you don't know what a company does, sometimes it's handy just to go to the about section. Listed in September 2015, managed by Ryder Investment Management, a Sydney-based boutique fund manager pursuing a high conviction, value-driven investment strategy specializing in small cap Australian equities. So it looks like this might be an LIC managed by Ryder Investment Management, which is a fund manager. We also have 7.84% cash, 92.16% equities. I would say right now the majority of their investments are of small cap ASX companies because I've said it. Probably didn't have to state that. Anyway, let's have a look at their annual report where you can get a lot of information about a company. Now, because this is an LIC or fund manager, I'm going to ignore revenue and profit. In fact, I'm not even going to look at the financial statements for this company because you don't get much information from the financial statements. What you want to see here is the discount to or premium to NTA, also what NTA is doing over time. You want to see it rising over time, and also the type of companies this LIC or fund manager invests in. We also already have a little bit of a notion what they invest in. So small caps, and it does look like they're heavily concentrated. Well, maybe not heavily concentrated, but concentrated in mining services. And there was also an agricultural company there, an education company. Now, because this is an LIC or fund manager, they should have a list of at least the top 20 companies in their portfolio. Hopefully they have a list of all companies in their portfolio, but that might be asking this company a little bit too much. Now, typically in an annual report, they should have an about section. We don't need that anymore. Can have a quick look at the chairman's letter to shareholders. Okay. Oh, it's not a good start here. Let me start by stating that Ryder Capital's recent poor performance has been disappointing and unacceptable. Now, we'll have a look at the share price chart in a minute or so, but they talk about, in the chairman's letter, they talk about what they're doing. They also mention Updater here, which is a company that was listed on the ASX, then delisted. At one point in time, over the last 3 years, it did have a really high valuation. That's probably come down a lot. And it's really interesting right here, I noticed, our decision to maintain a material holding in Updater post its delisting from the ASX in 2018 has cost us dearly in capital, opportunity, and distraction. So maybe they should not have kept their holding in Updater. Another company is listed here, and they talk about a lot of other stuff, NTA, that sort of thing, and discount. And that's all I want to look at when it comes to the chairman's address. We already saw this in their update, in their NTA update thingy, so we don't have to concentrate on that. Oh, this is interesting, an undiluted NTA breakdown. I'm not sure if we should be looking at diluted NTA, and the diluted NTA here is the sort of the grayish bluish color. And as I mentioned before, you want to see the NTA increasing through time. And from when this company listed on the ASX through to the middle of 2021, NTA or diluted NTA was increasing through time. And since the middle of 2021, it's been dropping. And this sort of makes sense because this LIC or fund manager is focused on small caps. And between 2015 and 2021, small caps did really well, but small caps have been struggling over the past 2 years. And so this is understandable why this particular fund manager or LIC has been struggling since that time, has been disappointing, as the chairman said. Let's have a bit of commentary. Don't really care about that. Here we go. This is the important thing. So we get a better idea of what this company is focused on when it comes to investment. And what I'm looking for here is any alignment to what I invest in and what this company invests in. Because if I see a pretty high alignment between the two, I could see myself investing in this particular LIC or fund manager. So let's go through some of these names. Their biggest holding is SRG Global. Now, this is a company I've never owned, but I have thought maybe I should take an investment in that. I wouldn't necessarily call SRG Global high quality, but it has impressed me over the past 2 years. Next two biggest holdings are McMahon Holdings and BCI Minerals. Then we have Janison Education, Austin Engineering, Cash Converters, Aurelia, Count ServiceStream. So going through this list, very few companies. I do trade ServiceStream right now, but not a long-term hold. And a lot of companies I would not invest in for the long term. Until we get right to the bottom, Phineas Corporation. That is one company I have invested for the long term, and they have a very small holding in that. So these are the top 20 holdings. Other equities, only 2.8 million, only accounting for 2.83%. And they have a portfolio composition. I discussed, you want to be a little bit diversified. Top 3 performers and detractors. So the best 3 performing companies, SRG Global, which is the biggest holding, then 40 Medical and Duratec. So more than likely, because that is the top 3 contributors, possibly they have sold out of those 2 companies. And the worst performing companies, Loomis Diagnostics, Aurelia Metals, and UpData. Again, if they didn't invest in UpData or maintain investment in UpData, this LIC might have performed really well. Talked about the 3 contributors, 3 distractors. I won't go into too much detail about that. A lot of information in regards to top 3 detractors. Oh, this is what I like to see: portfolio purchases and portfolio disposals. Now, I do this weekly. I talk about my purchases and my disposals, talk about my portfolio performance. I do that on a weekly basis right now. And these sort of companies, fund managers, do this on maybe a half-yearly, yearly basis. So we can talk about what this company purchased in. And they talk about they've added to their positions in a few companies here. They also partook in a few equity placements. So supported SRG Global equity placement at 72 cents. Initiated position in Phineas, but then they also talk about here somewhere in the disposals. I also noticed there was FCL somewhere here. Phineas Corp was also recently trimmed. So they bought Phineas Corp and they decided to sell it. So most of their purchases are already in companies they own, and they just added to the positions. So let's have a look at the disposals. They trimmed the position in 3P Learning and LGI on valuation grounds. That sort of makes sense. This is a value investing company. Reduced exposure to Index, sold off a little bit in FCL. They exited their position in Duratec on valuation grounds. So if they maintain their position in Duratec, there would have been a little bit more overlap between myself and Ryder Capital, because I do own Duratec. Their position in 4D Medical was also realized. Exit position in Pilled Mining, and their investment in Tubi has been delisted from the ASX. Portfolio generated $2.7 million in franked dividend and interest income of $227.4 million. Okay, and anything else I want to talk about here? I'm not going to look at this. I don't know what this means. I have no idea what Sharpe and Sortino ratio are. I think it has something to do with fund managers, and because I don't really research fund managers in LIC, I don't really know about the Sharpe ratio. I have heard about the Sharpe ratio. I can't define what it is. I have no idea what the Sortino ratio is, but I'm assuming it's something similar to the Sharpe ratio. What if they actually define what they are here? Now, I'm going through this pretty quickly, so I might miss it. And then they look at the performance of Ryder compared to other LICs and fund managers. So sort of the middle of the performance. What if these also small cap portfolios or fund managers as well? So sort of in the middle of the road here when it comes to analyzed returns, Sharpe ratio, and Sortino ratio. So not really standing out from the crowd. And they all should have an outlook section. One of the reasons I really like American sort of the newsletters from the fund managers over there, they really go into detail about outlooks. They remain cautious and convinced that we are set for a soft landing where monetary tightening sufficiently cools inflation without causing a recession and associated decline in companies' earnings, blah, blah, blah. They also mention here in the second paragraph, we don't know how things will play out in the short term. If anyone says they know how things will play out in the short term, they are fooling themselves. So have a look at the outlook if you're interested in this company. One of the reasons why I like to look at these LICs or fund managers, and I very rarely do it, is simply because you can get ideas. So just having a look at what the company invests in, again, you can get some ideas. So I have heard about most of these companies. In fact, all these companies I know a little bit about. Not a lot for most of them, but a little bit about most of them. So you can draw ideas, particularly if you are a new investors. What are some companies that these fund managers, LICs, are investing in, and then move forward from there? Now, I was going to do 2 other videos. So this was going to be a 3-part video. And simply because how long this particular part of the video is doing, just doing a little bit of research on Ryder Capital, I'm going to cut this particular video just to Ryder Capital. And the last thing we should look at is the chart. That's company I was looking at was Caravel Minerals. I would assume the share price of, or chart of this company looks pretty awful. It does. Look at that. Awful looking chart. Well-defined downtrend. Share price of this company has fallen from $1.80 all the way down to 92 cents. This makes sense because the NTA of this company has been dropping and the share price should be dropping. So when it turns for small caps, there is a good chance the Ryder Capital share price should start turning up unless the mining services part of the small cap indice or index doesn't turn around with it. So that's one of the problems about being, I won't say this company is highly concentrated in mining services, but based off the top 20, they are, and they would want that part of the sector to turn around. But I don't know why the mining services should be suffering right now. They should be doing quite well over the past few years. So it seems like they were in the right idea of concentrating in the mining services, but maybe they just picked the wrong companies apart from SRG. And actually, if we look at the weekly chart, just to go all the way back to when this company listed on the ASX, it's now below to where they listed. So a lot of negative sentiment in this particular LIC right now. I think that's all I'm going to discuss with this part of the video, possibly the only part of the video, because as I said, I intended this to be a 3-part video, but I am timing these videos, by the way, and just based off the timing, this went for a little bit longer than I expected. So I'll cut it there for this particular video. But if you have any questions about Ryder Capital, if you know a little bit more about Ryder Capital, I'd love to hear your opinion. But we have a fairly idea on what this LIC or fund manager is interested in small caps, concentrating in mining services, have a few education companies in there, Janison and 3D Learning, and trading at a nice discount to NTA. But that NTA has been dropping over the past few years. And if the small cap keeps on suffering, keeps on dropping over the next few years, there could be more pain for Ryder Capital shareholders moving forward. So leave any thought in the comment section of this particular video. And that's it. Have a good day. And the last thing I should mention is I am not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs and wants and that sort of thing. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.